Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn about a very fundamental theory of population genetics and evolution, that is Hardy Weinberg Equilibrium. In the beginning we are trying to understand the concept, and later part of this video we'll do some question to strengthen this concept. So let's begin. Before we start, there are some terms which we need to understand. One of these terms is species. What is species? In most simple terms, species is the group of organisms which are capable of exchanging genes. Interbreeding population, right? But if you remember, there is something called as Henny. This is from a male horse and a female donkey. Strange, right? So horse is one species, donkey is another species, but they can produce something called as Henny, which is a hybrid. And all these three are not same species. Which means what? That a group of organisms that should be able to interbreed and produce offspring, but that offspring should be fertile. In terms of evolution, we call it as reproductive fitness. Okay, so a group of organisms which can interbreed and produce an offspring, and that offspring can produce subsequent generation, that subsequent generation can produce a fertile offspring. So this is called as a species. Now group of these organisms is called as population. There is another subgroup of this population which is called as demes. Now there is an interesting term which is called as gene pool. Okay. Now gene pool is the set of genes, okay, in a population. A set of genes of the population is called as gene pool. Now there would be so when we talk about population genetics, we talk about a big pool of population. Unlike genetics, where we focus on individual, in case of population genetics, we focus on the whole population, or the whole population is a unit. So this population is unit. And when we talk about genotypic frequency, we are talking about a particular genotype in the population, right? So for example, if you remember a common example we take in genetics, which is like something like capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, small t, small t for the tall plants which are homozygous, and the dwarf plant which are homozygous, and there is a heterozygous tall plant which has both the alleles of tall as well as dwarf, right? So genotypic frequency is number of this TT in the population number of capital T in the population and small t in the population. Now the two alleles, which is say capital T and small t, this makes one unit in the population. This is represented as a letter small p and q, and this is equal to 1. Okay, so the alleles, so this p and q are allele, and the frequency of this p and q is allelic frequency. Now if this is a unit, so if this is a unit, p plus q is equal to 1. So if we square both the sides, if we do square, we should get p square plus 2pq plus q square, and this also should be 1, right? Now what is this p square? This p square is capital T capital T. This 2pq is capital T small t, and this q square is small t small t. Okay, so this is the basic idea of population genetics which we are going to explore today. Now if you are finding it difficult to understand, don't worry, we are just going to take some of the examples and some of the problem, and by end of this video I'm sure that you will be able to understand this completely. Now the population which we deal with in this population genetics or Hardy Weinberg Equilibrium is Mendelian population. What is Mendelian population? They have common set of genes, which means they have same gene pool. They are interbreeding population. They are sexually reproducing, and they should be diploid organisms. Like us, we are diploid, right? Hardy Weinberg equilibrium has basically three laws. One is allelic frequency equilibrium, which means that the allelic frequency of a population will not change. This will not change from one generation to the next generation. This is called as allelic frequency equilibrium. And same way, we have genotypic frequencies. Now this genotypic frequency can be determined by allelic frequency. This is called as genotypic frequency equilibrium. Overall, this equilibrium remains neutral. Okay, what do you mean by neutral equilibrium? That this equilibrium will not move, will remain in the center and will not move in either of the direction. Even if it moves, it will come back through random mating. Means a population in which there is random mating. What is random mating? Random mating means there is no choice or no circumstances which can influence the mating. So with this philosophy, we start and we look at the example, how does this thing work. So let's take this example. So this is um, so this is an example of Mn blood types, okay, which is controlled by M and N alleles. This M and alleles is among 200 people. They are in a city, say Mumbai. Now MM genotype is 114. MN is 76, NN is 10. So what would be the genotypic frequency? This number of this genotype in the whole population, right? Which is 114 divided by 200, which gives us 0.57. Same way, we have MN genotype, which is 76 divided by 200, that is 0.38. And same way, we have NN genotype, 10 out of 200, that is 0.05. Now to find out the allelic frequency, which is basically M, only M. How we can find out M? M would be MM MM and half Mn. Why half Mn? Because in this Mn, half part is M, half part is N. So half of Mn divided by total population, which is 114. 76 by 2 divided by 200, that is 0.76. So this is our M frequency, which is P, right? Now we'll find out what is N. Similarly, N would be NN, NN, half of Mn, because half of it is M, half of it is N, so this is half Mn divided by total population, which is 10 plus 76 by 2 divided by 200, that gives us 0.24. Right? This is what? This is Q. This is P. Now, if you remember the genotypic frequency, what was that? What was this one? P square. What is this one? This is 2pq, right? And what is this? This is q square, right? So if we take up this, if this is P, right? So what should be P square? P square should be 0.76 whole square. Roughly this will come as 0.57. What is 2pq? It is 2 into 0.76 into 0.24. If you calculate this, this will also come same as 0.3. What is q square? Q square is 0.24 into 0.24. Again, the result would be same as this. Or if you make a square root of this, which means if you make 0.05 square root, this will come approximately to 0.24. So the q square under root, and what we'll get is q. Same way, to find out what is p from the p square, if you take p square is equal to 0.76 0.57, P will be under root of 0.57, and this will come as 0.77. So basically, if the population is following Mendelian equilibrium, Hardy Weinberg equilibrium, it's a Mendelian population, then what we'll get is P derived from P square, Q derived from Q square would be same. If this population is not following Hardy Weinberg equilibrium, this will not be true. Okay, now take another example. So to solve this problem, I would suggest that pause this video at this moment, and once you are done, then resume the video.